So, you want to start building credit, but there's a problem. You need credit to get credit. Every credit card you apply for wants to see a credit history, but how are you supposed to build a credit history if no one will give you a card in the first place? It's frustrating, I know, but here's the good news. There are specific credit cards designed exactly for people in your situation. People with no credit history, thin credit files, or students just starting out. Today, I'm breaking down the best first credit cards for people with no credit. These are cards you can actually get approved for. They'll help you build a solid credit foundation, and some of them even offer decent rewards. I'll tell you exactly which cards to apply for, what to expect, and how to use them to build your credit score from 0 to 700 plus. Let's get into it. Why your first card matters. Before we jump into the specific cards, let me explain why your first credit card is so important. Your first card becomes the oldest account on your credit report. Length of credit history makes up 15% of your FICO score. The longer you've had that account open, the better for your score. So, the card you choose today could still be helping your credit score 10 or 20 years from now if you keep it open. That's why you want to choose a card with no annual fee. You're going to keep this card forever, so you don't want to be paying a fee every year for a card you might not even use much once you get better cards down the line. Your first card is also how you establish payment history, which is 35% of your credit score, the biggest factor. Every on time payment you make is building a positive track record. Every late payment or missed payment is destroying it. And here's what a lot of people don't realize: the card you start with doesn't have to be the card you use forever. Once you've built 6 to 12 months of credit history, you can apply for better cards with better rewards. But you keep that first card open to maintain your credit age. So, the goal here isn't to find the perfect card with the best rewards. The goal is to find a card you can actually get approved for that will help you build credit responsibly. All right, let's talk about the actual cards. Card 1, Discover It Secured. The first card I'm recommending is the Discover It Secured card, and this is probably the best option for most people with no credit history. Here's how it works. It's a secured credit card, which means you put down a refundable security deposit, and that deposit becomes your credit limit. So, if you deposit $200, you get a $200 credit limit. If you deposit $1,000, you get a $1,000 limit. The minimum deposit is $200. The maximum is $2,500. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would I give them my money just to use my own money? Here's why this card is actually great. First, Discover reports to all three credit bureaus: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. That means you're building real credit history. Second, after 8 months of responsible use, Discover automatically reviews your account to see if you can transition to an unsecured card. If you've been making on-time payments and using the card responsibly, they'll upgrade you to a regular unsecured card and return your deposit. Automatic. You don't even have to apply. Third, and this is huge, it actually earns rewards. You get 2% cash back at gas stations and restaurants up to $1,000 in combined purchases each quarter, then 1% back on everything else. Most secured cards don't offer any rewards at all, and Discover matches all the cash back you earn in your first year. Fourth, there's no annual fee, ever. And fifth, Discover has a solid mobile app with free FICO score tracking, so you can watch your credit score improve every month. The downsides? Discover isn't accepted everywhere. It's widely accepted in the US, but not as universal as Visa or MasterCard. And you do need to come up with that initial deposit, which can be tough if money is tight. But overall, if you can afford the $200 minimum deposit, the Discover It Secured is probably your best bet for a first credit card. Who this card is for: anyone with no credit history who can afford a $200 to $500 deposit and wants to build credit while earning some rewards. Card 2, Capital One Platinum Secured. The second option is the Capital One Platinum Secured card. This is another secured card, but it works a little differently than the Discover card. Here's what makes it interesting. You might qualify for a credit limit higher than your deposit. Capital One will review your application and might approve you for a $200 credit limit with just a $49.99 or $150 deposit, depending on your creditworthiness. So, you could potentially get approved with a smaller upfront deposit than the Discover card. It reports to all three credit bureaus, has no annual fee, and Capital One reviews your account regularly to see if you can upgrade to an unsecured card and get your deposit back. The downside? No rewards. This is a basic credit building card. You're not earning cash back or points, you're just building credit. Also, while Capital One does consider you for credit limit increases, they're not as automatic or generous as Discover in my experience. But if you're struggling to come up with a $200 deposit, or if you got denied for the Discover card, the Capital One Platinum Secured is a solid backup option. It's easier to get approved for, and it still gets the job done in terms of building your credit. Who this card is for? People who can't afford a large deposit, or people who got denied for other secured cards and need an easier approval. Card 3, Capital One QuickSilver Secured. Third option, Capital One QuickSilver Secured Card. This is basically the same as the Platinum Secured Card I just mentioned, but it earns 1.5% cash back on every purchase. Same deposit structure. You might get approved with a smaller deposit than your credit limit. Same no annual fee. Same automatic consideration for upgrades to unsecured. The difference is you're earning rewards. Now, 1.5% cashback isn't amazing compared to what you'll get with premium cards later, but for a secured card, it's pretty good. Most secured cards offer nothing. The catch is that the QuickSilver Secured might be slightly harder to get approved for than the regular Platinum Secured because it offers rewards. But if you have any income at all and a clean banking history, you've got a decent shot. Who this card is for? People who want a Capital One secured card but also want to earn some cash back on their spending. Card 4, Petal 2, Visa. Fourth option, and this is where it gets interesting, the Petal 2 Visa card. This is not a secured card. It's an unsecured card designed for people with no credit history. Here's how Petal is different. Instead of just looking at your credit score, which you don't have, they look at your banking history, your income, your spending patterns, your savings. They use that to determine if you're responsible with money even though you don't have a credit history. So, if you have a bank account with regular income coming in and you're not constantly overdrafting, you might get approved for the Petal 2 even with zero credit history. You start with a credit limit between $300 and $5,000 depending on your financials. No security deposit required. It earns cash back, 1% on eligible purchases after you make 12 on-time monthly payments. Before that, no rewards. Once you unlock it, you can earn up to 1.5% at select merchants. There's no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees, and it reports to all 3 credit bureaus. The downsides? The reward structure is confusing and not great compared to other cards. You have to wait 12 months before earning any cash back. And if your banking history is messy, lots of overdrafts, inconsistent income, you probably won't get approved. But if you really don't want to deal with a secured card and you have decent banking history, the Petal 2 is worth trying. Who this card is for? People with no credit but stable income and clean banking history who don't want to put down a deposit. Card 5, Student Cards. Fifth category, Student Credit Cards. If you're currently enrolled in college, you have access to cards specifically designed for students. These are unsecured cards, no deposit, and they're easier to get approved for than regular credit cards. The main options are Discover It Student Cash Back. Same great rewards as the regular Discover It card. 5% rotating categories and 1% on everything else, plus cashback match your first year. No annual fee, no credit history required, just proof of student status. Capital One. Saver One Student. 3% cashback on dining, entertainment, and groceries. 1% on everything else. No annual fee. Again, easier approval for students. Bank of America. Student customized cash rewards. 3% in a category of your choice. 2% at grocery stores and wholesale clubs. 1% on everything else. No annual fee. The advantage of student cards is they're unsecured. They often have decent rewards and they're designed for people with no credit history. The issuers understand you're young and just starting out. The catch is you have to actually be a student. You'll need to provide proof of enrollment, like a student ID acceptance letter or enrollment verification. And here's a pro tip. If you're a student, definitely go for a student card over a secured card. You'll get better rewards and you don't have to tie up money in a deposit. Also, student cards often come with perks like free credit score monitoring, spending alerts, and financial education tools. They're designed to teach you how to use credit responsibly. Who these cards are for? Anyone currently enrolled in a college, university, or trade school, even part-time. What to do after you get your first card? All right, so you've picked your card and hopefully you've been approved. Now what? Here's exactly how to use your first credit card to build great credit. Step 1, set up autopay for at least the minimum payment. Seriously, do this the day you get your card. Payment history is 35% of your score. You cannot afford to miss a payment. Step 2, use the card for small, regular purchases. Put a subscription on it, Netflix, Spotify, whatever, or use it for gas once a week. You want consistent activity, but you don't want to rack up a huge balance. Step 3, pay off your balance in full every single month. I know the card lets you carry a balance and just pay the minimum, but don't do it. The interest rates on starter cards are usually terrible, like 25% to 30% APR. If you carry a balance, you're throwing money away. Step 4, keep your utilization under 30%, ideally under 10%. If you have a $200 limit, don't put more than $20 to $60 on it and let it report. High utilization tanks your score even if you pay it off. Step 5, don't close this card ever. This is your oldest account. Even when you get better cards later, keep this one open. Use it once every 6 months for a small purchase, pay it off, and let it age. That age helps your credit score for years. Do this consistently for 6 to 12 months and you'll likely see your credit score climb from no score to somewhere in the mid 600s to low 700s. At that point, you can start applying for better cards with better rewards. Common mistakes to avoid. Let me quickly cover the mistakes I see people make with their first credit card. Mistake 1, applying for too many cards at once. Each application is a hard inquiry. Multiple hard inquiries hurt your score and make you look desperate. Pick one card, apply, get approved, use it for 6 months, then consider adding another card. Mistake 2, maxing out the card. Just because you have a $300 limit doesn't mean you should spend $300. Keep it low. Mistake 3, only making minimum payments. Yes, the minimum payment keeps you from being late, but if you're carrying a balance, you're paying insane interest and keeping your utilization high. Pay in full. Mistake 4, not checking your credit report. You're entitled to a free credit report from each bureau once a year at annualcreditreport.com. Check it to make sure your card is being reported correctly. Mistake 5, closing the card once you get a better one. Don't do it. Keep it open. That credit history is valuable. All right, quick recap. The best first credit cards for no credit history are 1. Discover It Secured, best overall for most people. $200 deposit, earns rewards, automatic upgrade potential. 2. Capital One Platinum Secured, easiest approval, lower deposit options, no rewards. 3. Capital One QuickSilver Secured, same as Platinum but earns 1.5% cashback. 4. Petal 2 Visa, unsecured card if you have good banking history. 5. Student cards. If you're in school, go for Discover It Student or Capital One. Saver, one student. Pick one card, get approved, use it responsibly, pay in full every month, keep utilization low, don't miss payments. Do that for 6 to 12 months and you'll have a solid credit foundation that opens doors to better cards, lower interest rates, and eventually things like car loans and mortgages. Building credit from zero takes patience, but it's 100% doable. You've got this. Which card are you thinking about applying for? Let me know in the comments. And if this video helped you, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss future credit tips. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. This is educational content. Do your own research before applying for any credit product. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.